how do we make our community, as Sheikh saying, as an exemplary community, as something good for Britain? How do we do that? What's your thoughts?
Okay, that's a very big question. I think, first of all, we need to, if you remember when we first started this conversation, I was talking about the fact that we tend to bury our heads in the sand and pretend there's no problem. There's nothing to see here, no problem. Especially, unfortunately, with our young men. We seem to account our young women a lot more, our daughters a lot more than our sons. And in my, now 35 years of being Muslim, I've seen that again and again and again, where young men can do no wrong, and they're just out playing the field and doing what they're doing, and they'll be all right eventually. But then young women are really, really kind of pressed down. So that's something we need to think about. But first of all, I would say we need to look at ourselves, and we need to look at ourselves through a critical eye, and be absolutely honest about where our community is. Secondly, I think one thing that you said is very important. Yes, the media does absolutely over-egg when it's a Muslim doing something. It's always mentioned. I'm sure all of you who are sitting here, whenever you hear that something's happened, you sit there going, oh, please Allah, don't let it be a Muslim name, don't let it... You just sit there just waiting for that. Oh, it's Muhammad Ahmed who's done it or whatever. And you're like, oh, here we go. Now we know exactly what's going to be happening. So I think what we need to acknowledge is that the media represents the masses, and this is a very simplified view, and I'm not going to go into but the media represents the masses, and the masses access the media, correct? So then, how many of us here, unless we are the director of a media company, or we're working in the BBC, or and there are some amazing brothers and sisters who are now working in these media outlets, and that is certainly something we need to start doing. However, as us, Joe blogs Muslims, right, just normal Muslims, how much power do we actually have over the media? Well, the honest answer is very little. You can get your angry posts out on Facebook or TikTok or whatever, but actually, because of the algorithms and because of the shadow banning and all that type of stuff, which I certainly have experienced, it doesn't get out there. So, what's the next tool that we've got? Okay, I want to just have a show of hands. Put your hand up if you have visited a non-Muslim's house in the last month. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Put your hand up if you've had a non-Muslim visiting your home in the last month. So I'd say that's probably about 20% of us. Does that not say something? That when we're thinking about change, and I had my hand up for both, by the way, alhamdulillah. But when we're thinking about change for the media and media narratives, yes, it's something we should campaign about and speak out about and all the rest of it, but actually that true change comes through social interaction, either by direct or indirect contact. And when we look at prejudice, and we look at the way that prejudice is reduced, okay, and we look at Al-Anbiya alayhi wassalam, we look at the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and we look in the Quran, and we look at these narratives, the way that prejudice was reduced was through contact, social contact, and building one big thing that you don't need to be a sheikh or a scholar or even have knowledge or even be a practicing Muslim particularly to do, and that is trust. Build trust. If we look at Yusuf alayhi salam, before he even gets put in the position of the Aziz, right? He's gone through the process where the people trust him because he has been a good person. Yes, that da'wah shines through because he believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, etc. But actually, the route through into that is building that trust and building that momentum within communities. Because then if you've got your non-Muslim friends and your non-Muslim neighbours and they are telling their non-Muslim friends, oh, don't believe that stupidity on the media. You know, I know brother Ahmed or sister Khadija or whatever in their family. I go to their house all the time. They're amazing. This is just the few idiots in their communities, just like we have idiots in our communities. Until we start doing these simple things that don't need ilm, they just need a bit of hikmah, just a bit of wisdom and a bit of going out of the way, then things are not going to change, because we can't control the media narrative and we can't control government narrative and politics and all the rest of it. Not right now, anyway.
Yeah.
But those are changed by changing of attitudes in the masses, and it starts, just like Brother said, with ourselves. If we want to make changes, we start with ourselves, and we have to take those steps, inshallah.